Augstu godātais prezidents, godātais rektor, cienījamās dāmas, godātie kungi. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable guests from other countries, friends. I welcome you to the plenary session of the 58th International Scientific Conference of RTU. This is RTU's birthday. 155 years ago, this university was founded. And I think we have to make a round of applause for that fact. Well, this doesn't look like a big birthday party, and it isn't, but I have to admit that in the end we had a reception, which is a good incentive for you guys to be here for all day program, I hope. So we're going to hear some presentations from Vice Rector for Science, Vice Rector for Strategic Development, and after that we have some words to give to prize the scientist of this year, the young scientist, the scientist of the year, and also a new award for valorization. This ancient word, we're going to hear about that word a bit later. My name is Svinīgā. I'm a proud graduate of this university. Technically, I have 3 diplomas from this university, but I only 2 of them. Actually, doesn't really count, I guess. So, I think RTU has a great potential. I've been scanning different scientific collaborations in this university. Actually, I'm involved in 2 business ventures that are busy with commercializing what scientists in RTU have achieved. And so far, I'm really impressed with the scientific level of the science stuff RTU. Right, so for the opening words, I would like to invite to supervise the stage the Vice Rector for Science of Svinīgā Technical University, Mr. Klaus Jurka.
Labdien, good morning. After this first part of today's meeting, I really feel proud about our university because there's been so many people behind development of a university, and we are standing here because of them. And today, by opening this session, I would like to give a little bit of insight, first of all, what this plenary session is going to be about, and then also we'll say some words about my presentation, which will follow in a few minutes. So first of all, as every year, we are gathered here at Riga Technical University to our annual conference. This has been a tradition for 58 years. And of course, what we are trying to bring during these days is to show what we have been doing during the last 1 year. And just for your information, besides this plenary session, we also have 17 sections during the entire week, addressing different types of scientific disciplines, starting from electronics, mechatronics, energy, but also in economics, humanitarian sciences, and also in history. So first of all, I welcome everyone, and I encourage you to use this week to attend not only your section, but also the section of your colleagues, and maybe you can learn something from them as well. We also are very proud that we have counted 700 participants during this week. So I think it's quite an impressive number. And actually we have people, I cannot name all the countries, but there are also some representatives from Nepal, from India, and countries very far away. So it means that we are truly international for the conference. So as Oscar already mentioned, that during this session. There will be 2 addresses. So first of all, there will be my presentation about what we have been doing during the last year in terms of science and innovation. Well, looked upon 3 major points: excellence in research, impact on society, and the viability of our system as a research system, at university. And then will be followed by Artur Zepes, who will show a little bit of what is our strategy about and how do we look in the international scale. That's what I expect from Arturs. And of course, afterwards, it's a very important part of our meeting. We will award the best scientist, male and female, and young scientist. And today we have a new award, which is valorization, which is will be given the first time. And the reason for that is that one of the cornerstones of our strategy is innovation. So obviously we will somehow want to acknowledge people who've been working in this direction for many years and have contributed a lot of, not only in science, but also in the way science is being used in industry. This year the conference is, of course, dedicated to 155-year anniversary. And actually it feels like 5 years when we had the 150 years anniversary were just yesterday. And the reason for that is it has been a lot of activities going on during this period. And first of all, of course, we have, let's say, period when we receive additional structural funding opportunities. But we also, internally of university, we have done a lot of restructuring. So I think for many of you it might be a bit of different period, and I hope that the changes what we have been implementing, they are for good, and they are actually contributing to our overall aim to be an excellent research university and a good place where students can study. Actually, if you look from perspective of the country, I think university have been contributing not only scientifically, but as Oskars mentioned, that there's a lot of technologies which have been implemented already, and in my presentation I will show some of the examples. During this period, as I said, there's been some changes in the way we manage university. But I'm happy that we can also celebrate some of the very tangible results, what we have been achieving during the last, let's say, 5 years. I just want to name them, so giving them an example, we, in spite of reducing number of people in a school, the total number of students in university, we managed to keep rather stable. Which means that proportionally we have more engineering students now in the country. We have increasing number of foreigner students, which I think it's very remarkable given 12% we have now, and it seems that this number will grow. We are entering the world ranking this year. We are quite proud to say that we are in top 300. There is increasing number of papers published in journals which are in Scopus of Web of Science. I will give some of the data during my presentation. And again, I think we could be very proud because we have relatively high number of startups, even comparing to the countries in Western Europe. So by this I would like to, first of all, again, thank everyone for coming to this plenary session. I hope that you enjoy not only this meeting today, but again, we'll have some new insights visiting different different specific sessions. And I hope that this meeting will bring also new ideas for the future. So enjoy this day. Thank you.
Morning. First of all, I'm welcoming all of you here in Riga, in Latvia, in Riga Technical University. And I would like to start a little bit with history, because in general, university is gathering of professors. If professors are good, outstanding, then also university is good. If professors are average, university also is average. This is a well-known fact. Therefore, my first message to you is, let's remember again our first Nobel Prize winner, Professor Wilhelm Ostwalds, who got this prize 1909 in physical chemistry. He was professor in Riga Polytechnical Institute, and we are very proud of that. Also, we have good followers. Professor Pauls Valdens also was former student of Ostwalds, but then tried to get Nobel Prize several times, but due to some political reasons didn't achieve that. Also, alumni of our university are very special people, because name of Wilhelm Ostwalds and Pauls Valdens are well known between all society of chemists around the world. But the name of Friedrich Zander, I think, is well known all over the world for general people, because he was graduating our Polytechnical Institute in 1913, and then his dream was travel to Mars. He made some first calculations, interplanetary, then was developing rockets in former Soviet Union, and also his life was with one target, how to live on Mars, and this will be planet for our future. What we are seeing now is that we are traveling to Mars. Our robots are on the Mars surface. Now we are thinking, and big money is put in research how to do this in general, not only to the moon, but to the Mars and other planets. Fourth man who historically a little bit describe to you, because my background is electrical engineering, and our section of power and electrical engineering, I think, is biggest in this RTU conference this year. But this is not the point. Point is our former student, Mikhail Dalivo-Dobrovolsky. Some of you may be told he graduated TU Darmstadt in Germany. Yes, but only 1 year he studied there. Before that, 4 years he was student of Riga Technical University, or that time Riga Polytechnicum, what is Polytechnical Higher School. And he is a man who was inventor of three-phase squirrel cage AC machine, three-phase transformer, and all things based on what is laying on basis of our supply of electricity, three-phase alternative current electricity, what we are using all over the world. This is coming from our university. And I'm very proud of that also first high-power electrical machines were produced in Riga before the mass production was started in Germany. And Engelbert Arnolds, professor in electrical machines, was also constructing them and doing some business in factories. Well, but now about our nowadays, our last 5 years achievements, because we made big celebration 5 years ago when it was 150 years of our university. But during those 5 years, what we did, we prepared, if it's right to tell so, Actually, RTU graduated almost 300 new scientists with doctoral degree. This is good achievement. We developed new scientific labs in Kiipsala in our campus. 4 faculty buildings together for study process and also for scientific research was developed, and now we are developing facilities for 3 more faculties in our campus area. And this environment also is very exciting for students. Our foreign students, number of them are growing almost exponentially. Now, at this moment, we have around 12% foreigners as a students in our 15,000 student this team. But during 1 year, this number is growing more than 2,000, 2,500 is total number in one school year, when we are counting also those exchange students. And very important thing is, and I think that our Vice Rector for Research will explain more, our cooperation with CERN. 5 years ago we started and we signed some MOU. And then we have agreement with CERN, with the biggest microscope on the world. And not only sending there our doctoral students like for excursions every year, but our doctoral students are really working and doing research in CERN in engineering and also in physics. And this is a very good achievement of our university from scientific point of view. Besides many projects from Horizon 2020 or before 7th framework, and now we are preparing ourselves for 9th framework program and to be more successful in future. Well, I am speaking too much, but nevertheless, this is a very special day for us, and those who are first time in Latvia, today is a little bit raining, but it is not always so. Sometimes we have also sunshine weather, and this summer, of course, was not very good, but very good for Latvia and for our climate. And I hope that you will find the good friends here between us and between our participants from other countries. And the main reason is that we can cooperate in future and do proposals and to get good money for research and to develop our knowledge and societies better and better. Thank you very much. Good luck.
Thank you, Rector. It's actually always sunny. It's just, sometimes the clouds are there. Anyway, I think we were promised to hear about some positive trends in the research environment in Riga Technical University. So, Vice Rector for Research Tālis Juhna with his presentation.
Okay. I hope that you have patience for half an hour to listen to information about what we've been doing during the last, let's say, 1 year, a bit more. And I have prepared my presentation around the topic of science, as you can imagine. And the reason for that is not just because I'm a Vice Rector for research. But the reason is that I think that science is very important, not only for the science per se, but it's very important for economy, it's very important for developing good quality students. And I will want to start with a very simple statement that science should be with an impact. And by impact, I do not mean this time papers only, or the papers with citation. Also, I will show some of the data about this as well. I mean that I think that our university is special in a sense that our science is something which matters also for not only economy, but it also helps society. It allows to develop new products, and it makes our life better. And in fact, as it was noticed by European Association, European University Association, let's say, committee, they noticed that we need to put more science in the center of what we do. And the reason for that is clearly when you talk about development or contribution of the science to Latvian and not only Latvian economy. But before I will start with RTU, I want to just put some bullet points about situation in with science in Latvia, how I see it, being there for some time. The first is, I wouldn't be very original to say that we are underfunded. And sometimes we say it and just it goes without noticing, but 0.6% of money which is actually from the GDP, which is going to science, is so miserable. And we look at if you look at the European landscape, we are, as usually, in the last position. Because most of the countries, and actually Europe has agreed, we have to reach level of 2% in 2020. So it's just 2 years, and I don't believe it will change. And there's always a question about the impact or the quality. And then we hear about, of course, if you look at the number of papers published and the citations in total number, then of course we are not in the first, let's say, first positions in Europe. But if you relate it to the money, this one here, 45 citations per million euro investment by the state. So the average in Europe is 30 citations per million. Of course, there are some countries which would be more efficient. What this figure shows, if the citations are the quality, then related to the funding, I think we are not so bad. The second thing I noticed working also at the Academy of the Council of Science is that the understanding of politicians about impact of science is, I think, I would say, not mature enough. Because we think that the only interest to do science is by the scientists themselves. But then we are coming across the problems which we are facing in daily life, and sometimes we do not understand that these problems can be solved only by doing research. I mean, I can tell many examples from my field of environmental engineering, but you know them, of course. And then the third thing, what I noticed that the way the science should be returning the investment is misunderstood sometimes, and we're following some kind of old model, that the only way we can get income, we have to sell patents and then get money back. This is myth. It's not happening nowhere. So the impact of science is not so direct, but if you calculate what would be the return in terms of money, in Europe, in average, it's if you invest €1, you get 10 euros back. In the long run, of course, but not just for the science, but for economy in general. So this is kind of my assessment what happens now in Latvia, and I'm really pleased that there are some new movements also looking at the young scientists understanding this, and I hope that attitude will change, in the nearest future. But now coming back to university, I don't think I need to explain all the figures, because most of them most of you here are from our university. I just want to emphasize that we build our research not only at the, let's say, vertical level by the faculties, but we also try to link between the faculties using these so-called research platforms. I mean, they are of course not very active maybe yet, but I think there are some already tangible results. Just to show one of the platform, we have 6 of them, security and safety. Very tangible results. The first is we have a project joined with Ministry of Defense and Svinīgā University for developing a screening test for the soldiers, which will be actually the test will be used well in coming years. Screening tests for psychological status of soldiers before their battle. The second is that together with LMT, we already have developed the first prototype for smart monitoring of monitoring system to enhance the combat skills of the soldiers. I mean, this prototype has already been tested, and it will be used, I mean, not in battle yet, but at least in training it is being used. So, I mean, that's very practical things what we can help also our security and safety of our country. Now, coming to these 3 points I'm going to address you. The first is I will talk about research quality, then I will talk about the impact, and then about sustainability of the system, as I said. Starting with research quality, what we've been doing during these years. The first of all, if you have noticed that we have increased the requirements for doctoral students. No other university have requirements to have at least 4 papers published during the doctoral period. And actually one of the papers should be published in journal, which is in a Web of Science of Scopus. So I think we have raised the level of requirements for students, and we see that it's just the first year, but we see there is it's more motivating maybe for doctoral students to work on their topics. Another way we motivate them, we have scholarships now. We didn't have them before. So we have scholarships, 8,000 euros per year. Of course, we still need to compete them for the scholarship, but I think this is also very important to have a long-term funding for the doctoral studies. And then also, unlike other universities, we have higher standards for scientific merits if you go for the professorship. So I don't want to go in details, but you know that the number of papers published for professors is set at the high level that it's set by the state. Now about figures. I mean, we all are academic people. You want to see a little bit of figures. I want to present a few of them. The first, number of papers published in Scopus. During the last 2-3 years, it has increased by 25%. Of course, we are talking about papers, both conference papers and journals, but you see there is an increase, and now we are at least first or second place in Latvia in terms of papers published in Scopus. Second is what we see, that number of papers published in journals, which is one of the kind of challenge we have, is increasing proportionally to the number of papers in conference papers, conference abstracts. So this is interesting figure. So how many papers we have in top 10 journals? Okay, we didn't kind of took this into account before, but now if you look at the figure, so it's about it's rising from 4 to 8 to 9%. So 9% of papers are published in top journals in Scopus and Web of Science. Of course, it's still a long way to go. On average, what university like ours would expect would be 30%. Now, as you know, we have an internal rating between different faculties. We introduced it some 5 years ago, and then it's very clear which faculty is strong at what. And as you see that we have some leaders, chemistry and material science, they are strongest in terms of PhD graduate. And the second place is Faculty of Energy, which is leading in terms of the project funding. Also, the number of PhD students is something to let's say, to hope for more. And then you see that the other faculties. And I think this is very important to follow this kind of trend, and every faculty has their internal evaluation, and then they see how these ratings are changing over the time. Now, this one you haven't seen before. So we use SciWall. It is kind of the system which looks at what are our strongest competences and what are the emerging competences from the paper and citation point of view. I just want to show what are our strongest fields now at the moment in the period 2011-2015. So we still energy, environment, energy efficiency is a strong field, and of course material science in general, specifically also looking at the catalytic materials. So these are the fields which we used to be strong, and we are strong. But there are some new emerging areas which I like to present. One is optical parametric amplifiers, or in general electronics is growing, and also cybernetic and viable systems, so more of ICT. It's also growing in terms of papers and citations, which is, I think, very good news. Now, about citations, it's a bit busy slide, but I want to show it as it is, because it's the original copy from the database. So, citations. So if you look at the number of publications, and of course then we want to have the more papers cited, so then you see some of the leaders here. Again, it's more of a field of energy, chemistry, and then if you look per publication, then of course we have one leader which is, interestingly, it's high energy physics. And the reason is, of course, we joined CERN, and in CERN you publish a lot, and of course then if you publish then you become a co-author of the paper. But nevertheless, it's interesting that 12 citation per paper is in a field of high energy physics. And then you see the rest of the more engineering fields. Again, the rector was mentioning CERN. I don't think I have to tell in this audience what CERN is about. Just want to say that, of course, the project is now, the CERN project is running. And just to make clear that CERN is not just about particle physics, it's about basic 70% of people there are actually engineers. So we are developing, helping the CERN to develop devices so they can make their experiments better. And I think we did it, I mean, last year we had a big conference here. It made a lot of media attention. And then, of course, we are proud of our PhD students having internship in CERN. So I think this allows us also to, let's say, be more open to the high-level research, as I showed. Some of the, at least in terms of papers published, we gain some impact. Another team what I'd like to mention is the Biomaterial Center. So they were quite successful in obtaining the first, in a first round of funding, the support for making biomaterial center of excellence. So they have got first money to make a business plan, and this is something, if you remember, Institute of Solid State Physics had. So they have got in the first stage. If they are happy, doing the good business plan, then they will apply for about 30 million euros to build the infrastructure. And what is interesting here is that you see we have our scientists, Janis Loch, but also we have scientists from Switzerland, from Germany, and also from Institute of Organic Synthesis and Stradin Universitat. So this is a very, I think, interesting project where we combine several, let's say, strong players in biomaterial field. Now, this is about excellence, about impact, about our relevance to society. So what we obviously trying to do, we're trying to make our science matter. We try to do anything which would help our industry, trying to close the gap, working on contracts, and also developing a technology transfer system. I mean, I will show some examples, but obviously you've been noticing this in your daily experience. So it's just the names of the companies we have contract during 1 year. You see, they are coming from both chemical industry, the electronics, what have you. I mean, I think we're covering quite a big range of industry here with doing research, very practical research, I would say. I wish there would be more of development type of research, but very practical research with companies. Now, technology or valorization chain, or the process how we make our ideas to the product, to the shelf. And what we've been doing, as you see, this is what you call it death value. You know, you have idea here, and then you have to make a business with the idea. And this is where we're having this kind of bridges between over the death valley. So we, for example, of course, you know, we have a design factory. We opened it last year. We have a new technology transfer program, which is, I will show some data about this. And also we are part of some of the accelerators and business incubators, which are at European level, like Climate Kick, EIT. And finally, we're also working with investors. I mean, the Build It, it's an accelerator program, meaning that if you have your startup, that we can help you to find investors. So basically, university is doing what maybe country as the state should do. But I think it's okay, because we have to show the way, right? So basically, they're covering the entire chain of innovation. I think we are very proud of the new program, which is about making your idea into the prototype. We've been quite fortunate. We have first three projects. Hopefully, it will get to the next stage, so we'll have 1 million of investments. Some of the technologies which is being developed now, very helpful, I think. They are developing a new type of catalyst which is using visible light. Normally you use UV light for catalytic oxidation, but you use visible light. And of course, if you develop this technology, it would save a lot of lives in Africa. I mean, of course, it's a little bit pathetic, but in a sense, it's true. Because if this kind of technology would be developed, it certainly will make a huge difference how we treat water in Africa. And of course, what is interesting that our team is helping scientists to become better entrepreneurs. So they are being trained how to pitch technologies. We didn't do it before, but now more and more scientists understand it's not just about doing science, it's the way you present science and to make it understandable also to investors. So I think this is a nice twist of what we do now. Of course, Design Factory, I think everyone knows, at least if you look at the number of visitors per year, if you look at the companies attending or having some kind of business relationship, it's great, and we organize a lot of activities, and I want to thank personally Uģis Bratuškins for allowing us to keep to allow to use the facilities for that. I think this is great that this place is open access, so everyone can come there, and then also the company can come there. So we become more open, and I think this is important for university. Design Factory, they have been engaged in many international projects. Like I said, Climate Kicks, which is an international accelerator, and Demola, which is the kind of activity where we work on the ideas served by the industry. And of course, we help our scientists to work on the prototypes, testing, and so on, so on. So there are many activities which might be hidden, but I think it's important to notice that they are there. Then we have our student business incubator, which has been reloaded now. Again, our focus is on science-based startups. I want to coin this very clearly. We are not talking about just startups. We're talking about science-based, technology-intensive startups. And that's where, I mean, if you look at some of the figures here, they're maybe not very impressive, but still, they have been managing to attract, I mean, students. They themselves managing to attract more than 100,000 euros. And also we work with the students to learn them how to do science for industry. And this is the program we launched. It's called Vertical Integrated Project. Just to show this picture, this lady is from our engineering school. Actually, she's very good, not only in math, but also in electronics. And then this guy is a master's student from I think from India, but he's a foreigner student. So they are working in a team, and they're working in one of the teams developing robots together with Agris Nikitenko. So it's just a one team. So in this sense, we try to pull more our young students in doing research. And then there's, of course, a list of activities. Just to mention a few. This year we have hosted this EIT Climate Kick Summer School. If we have some time, I will show the very exciting video about it. And then also we've been part of Garage 49.8, which is actually hardware competition. So you have two days to make your hardware. And it should make also something which is, nice. So I think this is it's kind of activities which we've been organized, also partly by Design Factory and an incubator. Then some of the technologies. Someone said, okay, where you have your technologies? I just want to mention a few of them. These are the different technology readiness levels. Some of them is, I'll call it Tesla bike. So it's an electronic bike developed on one of our startuppers. There's guys working with light materials for satellites, Kasper Skalniņš. We have developed goalkeeper trainer for ice hockey teams. And we have a startup which is called Drone Plan, which is developing the inspection from the drones using the augmented reality principle. And they are getting some information about the power line situations and so on. And also other technologies. I don't have time to go through them. Then, of course, as I said, we are very proud of our past because, as it was said, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And I think that we have many recognitions from different funds about our contribution. I just mentioned Juris Mercurius, but we have more people like this which have been recognized for their contribution in not only in science but also for education. And then we have many activities to promote science. Our student parliament, they have the journal about the science. We have a research slam, which is the way we communicate science to the outside world. So this is the kind of pitching event for the master students and PhD students. Actually, we just started this year, and the final would be next year in June. And then I'm coming to the last part, which is sustainability, viability, and then this is a part of how we can maintain our system so it goes for eternity. And for this, we need to improve our structure. We have done some of the changes there, and also we have to think about our human capital. And the first is, last year we completed this the project, which is about trying to better coordinate research, and now we have I think, very strong research coordination at the faculty level. We have also moved some of the institutes to Kipsala, which is now building, and then finally we have started postdoctoral program. And I see chemist is somehow again on the top in terms of postdoc students. So we have about 30 new postdoc students this year, but hopefully there will be more. We expect about 200 if we are successful by the year 2020. Of course, we are very proud of our young scientists, and not only. In fact, I put this slide not because she's a chemist, but the reason is that we have quite good gender balance in our university in terms of the of the scientists. More than 50% actually are ladies, so I think this is very great. Anyway, of course, scientific equipment. We have built our lab before in the new lab space, and now we're aiming at additional funding for building our 6 excellence centers in 2018, and that there will be not just we will use the machinery for everyone, it will be available to everyone, but it will be coordinating in a specific field where we feel we are very strong. We have our HPC center, High Performance Computer Center. Many scientists are using it, and actually not only our scientists. This year we have signed up also agreement with Organic Institute of Synthesis. They are also using our services for their drug development programs. And then use science, of course, access. Of course, if you look at the equipment we have now in our database, it's growing, and we also are attracting more institutions from outside. Now, coming to the end of my presentation, I want to put up this slide. As you notice that we have many activities related to the green technologies. And one of the activities we just recently started is to make our campus not only nice, but also sustainable in terms of the ecology. And then the idea is really to, when we think about the way we build and the way we use our facilities, we have to think green. And I think this is a very strong point because both we have a green incubator, we cooperate with Latvian University in a green incubator, and we also have, as I said, cooperation with Climate Kick, which is also about ecology and CO2 technologies. So I think this is one of the initiatives you will hear more and more in next year. And finally, of course, we have challenges. Not only I showed a lot of positive things, but there are some challenges. The first, I would like to point out that research funding, and now I'm talking about, we are very good in attracting funding actually from the project, but if you look at the percentage funding for research and study process, it's not right, because normally it should be 50-50, we have about 20-80%. So we certainly need to increase funding for research. Why? Because it's important for our postdoctoral students in the first place. The number is, Rector was mentioning, is increasing, but it's keeping now steady. We want that it goes up. We need about 2,000 actually students, not, postdoctoral students. We have to double the number. Of course, it's very challenging now. And again, I hope that everyone agrees that we need more research in our education as well. I'm not talking only about, during the blue sky research. I'm talking about really the research which can be used by the students, so they understand that university is not just about education, it's about doing research and doing the research which makes impact. I think that we still have some flaws in our management, research management system, and we're working with our think tank. We have a special way we organize our discussion with scientists about how to improve it, how to make it more, easy, accessible, easy to use for scientists. And of course, then we talk about professors. As it was mentioned by Rector, we want that professors, they excel on the research quality, because if you have a good, excellent professors, then you have also very good students. And of course, we have to continue with our valorization process. The way we, as I showed, I think we are pioneers in the way we see that technologies are being moved from the idea to the product, and we have to excel on that. We have to continue to do this. So this is my short message to you, and if we have some time, we do have some time, I want to show the video from this one of the summer schools we organized. Summer schools we organized with a Climate Kick this year, and they made very, I think, exciting video. And as you know, the thoughts, they are coming from feelings, not vice versa. So I think it will encourage a little bit of your feelings. Okay, thank you, and the video, please.
You keep me up till 4 in the morning. You got me thinking of you. Every minute, every hour I keep falling. When I know that you feel it too. I can get no sleep. You got what I need. When I got you next to me, I'm staying up for love, 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 love. I can't get enough, 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 enough. Waiting for the moment we can touch. I can't get enough, 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 enough. Staying up for love, 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 love. I can't get enough, 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 enough. Waiting for the moment we can touch. I can't get enough, 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 enough. Staying up for love. Staying up for love. I'm staying up for love, 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 love. I can't get enough, 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 enough. Waiting for the moment we can touch. I can't get enough, 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 enough. Staying up for love.
Journey is the name of the project, and I have to admit that there was a remarkable thing for this university, because 80 students from different parts of the world came to spend the final week of the 5-week summer school that happened all around Europe. And I think we have now 80 great ambassadors that have a positive and feeling, and that are impressed by the level of things that we can do here in RTU. So I did business coaching for these students in the summer school. So I was there, and I totally agree that it's a high energy event. So we have to continue with the next presentation, which is delivered by the Vice Rector for Strategic Development, Mr. Arturs Zepes.
Honorable Mr. Bērziņš, Director, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Today I would like to tell you a bit about development perspectives of Riga Technical University. If we talk about development, of course we understand strategy, we understand that we are talking about change management. And to begin with, I would like to start with the quotation of one professor that has said some interesting things regarding the strategy. Change management in university is like a walk at the cemetery. Everybody is ready to listen, but nobody stands up to help. This quotation was provided by Professor Svinīgā when he came back from one international conference. I'm not saying that this is Riga Technical University's case, but I'm saying if the strategy is not well communicated and if the people are not engaged, then we might have a small problem. A few words about context, because if we're talking about the strategy, we have to understand the environment around us and what is going on in the world. Of course, one of the quite important elements we have to take into account is globalization. It actually means we have to look at our university not only in the scale of Latvia, not only in the scale of Baltics, but in much broader sense. That actually means we are competing with the universities abroad, where not only fighting for the students from other countries, but also there's a quite tough competition for the students right here, because the students could actually choose any university anywhere in the world right now. Additionally, technology and digitalization. This is a factor that allows, from one perspective, us to implement and introduce many different technologies, provide study process more interesting and more efficient, but as well, from other perspective, if we do not follow the technology, we might lose in the global competitiveness game. And social media. From one perspective, we can say this is not important. Students might take some time and play with this, but I would like to say and stress out that from one perspective, if we do not pay attention to the communication and social media aspect, one day we might lose the attention of those youngsters, which is the future of our university. Because today we can, at one point, be at our lecture, do something that is filmed or taking a picture, and at the end of the day it might appear on social media, and not only your students but whole Latvia knows about some not very nice thing. But from other perspective, we can use this tool and actually see how we can engage people and talk with this younger population of Latvia. But if we're talking about the future of university, we do have to understand where we can excel and thus win in the competition between local and regional universities. But if we want to excel, we do have to understand what is indeed excellence in universities. And I would like to talk about this issue from three perspectives. One perspective is excellence in universities in themselves. Of course, our university, as all other universities, have a strategy. But the strategy is just like a vision where we are going. It's important to have as well a tool how we can implement it. And this is the AFQM excellence model, which allows us, and we will as well, from perspective of our university, look towards implementing it, but it allows us to understand what are the exact results we want to achieve and understand how we can build those enablers, processes, and people's work towards those results. This is a process, an internal question, how university should look upon how to become really excellent in itself, within it. The other question, if we're talking about the excellence, of course, is ratings. We can, of course, say that the mathematics or calculations are not right or correct, but anyway, ratings are important from two aspects. One aspect is because students really do look at the ratings and see what are the results and which university might be a bit better or maybe which university is lagging behind. But the other thing, it's even important not to look on the general number where we are in the ratings, but look a bit deeper, because these deeper numbers allow us to understand what are exact our performance in, for example, field of science, field of study process, field of attraction of money, and so on. And I will come back to this issue a bit later. And of course, if we're talking about the excellence, then there's a big question about what is excellence in technical universities. And we do have to understand that technical universities not only talk about the study process and research, but as well about technology transfer and income from industry. And this aspect is important from two perspectives. One, of course, it allows us to really provide new products to the economy in the, at least Latvian scale. But this aspect is the one that allows universities to attract funding. Because if we are currently living from EU funds, research projects, donations from Latvia, then this is a field where we have a great potential in the future. But anyway, I promised you to tell you a bit about rankings and give a elaboration on some numbers on where Riga Technical University actually stands. I will provide you just a brief few slides about different numbers, but I want to stress out from the beginning that I won't show you how good we are in Latvian context, because from many aspects you can understand that we are from some of the perspectives the best in Latvia. But since strategy is not just praising ourselves, I will try to show you how we look in the Baltic scale if we're combining and looking towards excellent universities in the Baltic scale, Europe, and even the world. Study process. And these numbers are all from different rankings. Year 2016, QS World University Rankings provide the numbers. How do we look from the perception of industry in a factor academic reputation? And here you can see that in the Baltic scale we're quite fine. We're actually leading technical university in this field, but we have quite a challenge if, of course, we're talking about the leading technical universities in Europe, such as Aachen University, and if we're talking about the global scale, MIT. Additionally, since we were talking about the globalization and internationalization, the very important question is what is the number of foreign students? And you can see that here we're somewhere in the middle. If we're talking about the Baltics, there's still quite a long way to go if we're talking about the European or even global level. Science. I'm sorry for this slide, but of course here we lag behind even if we're talking only of course about this specific indicator, if we're talking even about Baltic states. Yes, you can see that we're in the lower position as KTU and Tallinn University of Technology, but let me give you one good message as well. Here you can see how we are growing. And this actually means if we will keep up growing, there is a good potential that we not only become the best ones in Latvia, as we consider ourselves right now, but we can actually fight with other universities, at least in the Baltic states. And valorization. Valorization, as mentioned before, it's quite an important topic if we speak about collaboration with the industry and attraction of money. And so, attraction of money, these of course are not thousands, but these are rankings and numbers where the maximum amount is 100 points. You can see that we are as well somewhere in between if we're talking about the Baltic level, but there is still a long way to go if we're talking about much broader scope. And this is a field which actually provides many opportunities to our universities in the future years if we play the game right. The next slide that I will show you is not to kind of ruin your mood even worse, but this is the financial amounts of Baltic universities. Aachen University, I'm sorry I did not put MIT because otherwise their budget is approximately $3 billion. That would mean you wouldn't see any of these numbers. But the idea why I'm saying this, if you put these numbers in perspective of the things I showed you before, and we defined it as efficiency, showing what we can do, what is our scientific outcomes out of €1 spent in our university, you can see that actually we are one of the most efficient universities, at least if we speak in the Baltic states. And just imagine what we could have done if we had at least twice as more money as we do right now. The things I were telling you actually just mean that environment among us and outside is changing, and we do have to pay attention to us as well. The competitiveness among universities is quite intense and growing, and the strategies as we do have is developed not only by our university but by other competitors as well. And of course, universities have to adapt and create their own unique path. And what actually is this unique path and how to develop it? This is a strategy. So this is why looking out to those numbers is important. That is benchmarking, that is evaluation, how we can understand where we lag a bit behind and what should we do in the future. I won't give you numbers or many explanations from our strategy because together with different documents, it's more than 1,000 pages. I will just try to elaborate a bit on the essence of the strategy that we do have right now at Riga Technical University. And these are 5 things I would like to mention to you. One is infrastructure. As you all know, that currently we are working very hard on infrastructure development in Tīpsala. We have been doing that for the past years as well, but this is one of the aspects that is quite crucial to really develop university, to attract foreign students, to really keep researchers thinking not about about the problems at the roof or some other technical stuff, but really work on science and study process. Internationalization. We, of course, can say that we are quite good at this, but still, I believe there's quite a good way where to go. And what our strategy reflects on the internationalization question, it is saying that, of course, we have to grow the number of foreign students, but as well, we have to think about additional two things. We have to think about the quality process of the internationalization or the study process of foreign students, and we have to think how to combine local students with foreign students to actually not just to provide internationalization and the possibility to foreign students to learn about Latvia, but also Latvian students to get in more deeper collaboration with foreign students. Consolidation and excellence programs. What do I mean regarding this, and what does our strategy say about this thing? Of course, we do have to look at quite great challenges in the future where we will have to consolidate or decrease the total number of our study programs. From one perspective, of course, EU funds and Ministry of Education is fostering us to move that directions by providing many millions of euros if we are successful in this field. But as well, this is quite a tough question towards our potential students, because we have to create study programs much more clear and understandable to them. But additional thing, what I would like to stress out at this point, is offering excellence. Because I believe we have proved, as the rector mentioned today, that by establishment of Riga Technical University's Engineering High School, we can provide excellence in engineering education. This project was, of course, to the 10 till 12 grade students, but we have to think about the next step, because today, imagine that you're the student and you're looking towards receiving an engineering degree. You have a possibility to go to Riga Technical University if you're talented and really person who thinks about his future. You have a possibility to either to go to Riga Technical University, be one of 15,000 students, and maybe sit in one class together with some people who have not had a great marks at chemistry, physics, and mathematics, and professors most likely will be paying attention to those youngsters, or you can think about going to other universities abroad. So this is a possibility for us to actually create a niche besides this mass education to actually offer those people, because we have a potential, we have great examples, and we have a capacity to provide individual plans and to work with those talented students that can and seek for excellence. And that in years will as well as allow to be better in other aspects such as research and valorization. About things that we're planning to do in research, Vice Rector for Research already elaborated a bit before, but of course there are two things that our strategy talks about and that I believe is that are quite important. One is these projects where we're investing, excellent projects where we are investing because we can see that in the recent years we will be able to get the research outcomes that will allow us not only to attract additional funding, but as well to higher university in rankings. But additionally, this is a question of collaborating with international research partners that have been very distinguished in many research activities and results, such as CERN, that allows us not only to provide possibilities to our professors and students, but also provides a possibility to join in international projects and attract funding. And what is as well important, it is IT support, because this reflects a bit on technology and digitalization I mentioned before, but here I would like to say that our strategy, if we're talking about IT support, is saying that we should see how we can work with different numbers, how we can work with different technology that can change our daily life in university. For example, if we're talking about the numbers and the strategy, then at this moment, each year rector signs agreement with the deans. And this agreement reflects the previous year numbers and provides 2 next year plans. If we would apply IT technology, there would be a much better possibility for us to use real-time data, not only regarding these agreements, but also if we would talk about decision-making. And I'm not talking only about the broader scale of a university, but as well as different aspects of study process, research, finances, and etc. These were the things that actually are already in our strategy. I was not saying anything new, and me together with the rector and vice rectors, we are actually working on those things. But I believe that the most important thing is not to look at the things, what we are currently doing or what we will want to do. It's a question how we can do those things differently, or what will provide us additional spin that we could go a bit faster than other competitors. And I would just like to tell you 3 things that from my perspective are quite important. One is increasing collaboration with governmental institutions and gaining political support. By this, I mean we really do have to continue the things we have started, but by actively joining the discussion about the future of higher education and science, providing our perspectives, providing our view on the changes that should have been done, we should have to actively not only react on different regulations and other activities brought to us by ministries, but we do have to proactively provide our opinions, work with those people who actually are decision makers, and provide a better situation for our university in the future, not only look what is happening outside. As well, communication. This a bit reflects to the previous part, but anyway, this is quite important because this allows us from one perspective to work with the society, defining and telling them where we are heading, what is the situation in Riga Technical University, and that we really are good. But additionally, this allows us to attract new students, and we have to tell and explain the society that we actually are good. We do not have to speak about the problems in our university or some things where we are lagging behind. We have to show our great examples, and this is a place where we have to play a game a bit better in the future as well. And the last thing, what is quite important, it's of course discussion and thinking of Riga Technical University's expanding and consolidation of our other higher educations. And I do not mean always merger. I mean closer work with those higher education institutions that are working in the technical field, because it's quite important to understand what are the resources provided by the Latvia to this field of education, and understand how we can jointly with those institutions work on increasing the potential and the results of higher education and research and engineering. The things I was telling, I was trying to explain what is the strategy, trying to say what are the things we should be looking on and what we are actually looking from perspective of the offices of Vice Rector of Strategic Development. But the most important thing, as I said before, is not only the strategic aims, we are actually moving forward, but by, once again, borrowing the quote from one strategy professor, Michael Porter, strategy is about making choices. It's about differently choosing to be different. So I invite you all to think how we can make things differently and making our university unique and differentiate from other competitors, not only locally, but globally. Thank you.
Well, you not only listen, but you also applaud. That's a good sign, isn't it? It's better than in symmetry. I mean, if we come back to that quote. Well, it's time to give the awards. I think the anniversary of the university is a perfect occasion to celebrate achievements in scientist careers. We have 4 awards totally, and we're going to start with the first batch, which is the Scientist of the Year, the Young Female Scientist of the Year, and the Young Male Scientist of the Year. So for the first nomination, Young Female Scientist, I ask for your attention for the video. Do you have your guesses? 4 bright female scientists. So to present the award, I would like to ask on the stage the rector and vice rector for research. Gentlemen, please join me here. There's a good opportunity to meet nice ladies here. So please come closer to me so that we are being filmed here. All right. So the winner in this nomination is the Young Female Scientist of the Year 2017 is Linda Mezule. Linda, do you want to say something to the audience? I just thank you very much kind of thing. All right, thank you. All right, so next nomination is the Young Male Scientist of the Year 2017. Right, so I ask the gentleman to join me again here for this very nice moment, I would say. So, the award for Young Male Scientist of the Year 2017 goes to Jānis Šliseris. So, anybody who feels that could represent Jānis today, could you please come and receive the award for him? And say our best hello. Smirnov, Mr. Smirnov, please come and receive the award. It feels almost like real, young male scientist. Our best greetings to Mr. Šliseris. And now the very important nomination, the Scientist of the Year of 2017. Please, video, 7 candidates. Well, to me, it looked that the candidates had some confusing moments in front of camera, didn't they? Probably this is also a very stressful moment in a way for them, for all the candidates. But I think you all 7 should be very proud of being nominated for this award. But of course, there's only one award receiver, and this year that is Dagnie Blumberga. I have to say that this is not Dagnie Blumberga because she's actually in Paris in a business trip. So Yelena Pablo is here to receive the award. And we have a speech.
As a director, oh no, you said sorry, the professor now in the plane, so she asked me in a case to read the speech for her speeches in Latvian, so I will read it in Latvian. Pārfrāzējot Stīvu Džobsu, gribu teikt, ka lielas lietas zinātnē nekad nevar paveikt viens. To var paveikt tikai komanda. Zinātnieka balva noteikti ir mūsu komandas darbs. Man ir laimējies, jo Vides aizsardzības un siltuma sistēmu institūtā mums ir komanda visās varavīksnes krāsās. Mums ir jauna komanda ar vidējo vecumu 36 gadi, kurā senioriem un pieredzējušiem profesoriem ir iespēja uzturēt jaunības sparu jaunajos kolēģos, tajos brīžos, kad iestājas pagurums. Mums ir dažādu specialitāšu profesionāļi, sākot no inženieriem, enerģētiķiem, siltumenerģētiķiem, mehāniķiem, ķīmiķiem, vides zinātniekiem un beidzot ar ekonomistiem un biologiem. Tomēr visi kopā mēs esam vides inženierzinātņu pārstāvji. Vispilgtākajā varavīksnes krāsā ir uzziedējušas mūsu jaunās laboratorijas. Darbs laboratorijās nes līdzi ne tikai zinātniskās izpētes darbus un publikācijas. Septembrī ieguvām apstiprinājumu, ka vides monitoringa laboratorija ir akreditēta. Mēs apzināmies, ka esam mazs cinītis, kas gāž lielu vazumu. Paldies, ka to pamanījāt. Dagnie Blumberga. Paldies.
And now it's time for a new tradition. On its 151st anniversary, Riga Technical University establishes a new tradition, the Valorization Award ceremony. So the aim of this award is to enhance commercialization of products created in RTU and to promote the results of applied research, patenting, and establishing new enterprises. The candidates for the award submitted applications listing their achievements in valorization, such as implemented commercialization, participation in exhibitions, and other publicity activities. Also granted patents, signed license agreements, and participation in business ventures. The first winner of the Valorization Award of the year 2017 is an owner of 5 patents, has generated significant income from commercial contracts from companies such as Olen Farm, Grindex, and others. He's also successfully implementing all proposals for commercialization from the industry. I invite the Rector and Vice Rector for Strategic Development to present the award. It looks smaller than the previous ones. Right. Yeah, it's more fancy in a way. All right, so the first winner of the Valorization Award given by RTU goes to Professor in Chemistry, Māris Turks. Prieks censties. Mums arī ir prieks. All right, this is just the beginning of the birthday, isn't it? I welcome now you all to the reception in the hall just behind that closed door. Some wine, networking, and lots of congratulation speeches and toasts. Thank you all for being here with us today.